What I'm going to take you through right now is a plan for building your own AI assistant. So obviously, we're probably all familiar with using ChatGPT or Claude. And in general, you can just chat with those and it will provide you written content back. But if you actually want to stop becoming the bottleneck yourself and you want to actually start doing more things, then having an agent be able to actually implement the things that you're discussing with your AI, then this is what you want to have a look at. So what I've done here is I've basically begun to plan out what it is that I want my agent to do. Because if you have heard of OpenClaw, which is what we're going to use to build the AI assistant or agent, you've probably seen on YouTube that there's lots of videos showing you how to set it up and also how you can just quickly start getting it to do stuff. And that's all well and good. But for me, I want to make sure that I know before I start what it is that I'm actually wanting it to do and how I want it to support me in my day-to-day, helping me think things through, but also help me run my businesses and perhaps also assist me with some client work as well. So what I've laid out here is something to help you understand what OpenClaw does. Then I'm going to show you what we would actually like to tell it about ourselves and our businesses and our client work, and then have a look at what tools and platforms we want it to access and also what tasks or skills that we want it to do as well. So if we zoom in here and have a look at what actually OpenClaw is, basically OpenClaw is an AI agent that will be able to start doing things. It's like ChatGPT or Claude, but with hands that can do things. So OpenClaw is the platform in which we will set this up. What that allows us to do is that we can actually then talk to it via any sort of chat software or platform. So you can connect WhatsApp to it, and you can send it voice notes or you can send it text. Same thing with Telegram. You may want to use Telegram. If you use WhatsApp for chatting with your friends and everything like that, then maybe having Telegram set up just so that you know that this is for your work, then that might be a reason why you might want to use Telegram instead. But you can also use Slack and Discord, and that might be a good choice if like me, you're going to be using it to manage separate businesses. You might want to use Discord or Slack to open up different channels within your chat platform so that you can manage the conversations that you are having with your AI assistant rather than it just being one stream and one chat that you have with it. Then what else we've got is the generative AI platforms, the models, if you like. And these are what your agent will use in order to express itself back to you, and also for thinking things through and things like that. Now, different models will cost you different tokens because different models within ChatGPT or Claude, etc., they are skilled at doing different things, and the more complex it is, the more tokens it will use. And we don't want to have our assistant using really expensive tokens for things that don't require it. So we can get API keys to plug into our assistant so that it has access to the different AI models, and that will help us basically be more efficient with getting our assistant to carry out its tasks. So you still be able to chat with your AI assistant, discuss things and get it to work through things as you would with any of these AI models. What it will also do is it will be able to access the platforms the tools that you use, and then start carrying out these jobs and putting those thoughts and plans into action. And also you can set up what are called recurring tasks or cron jobs. And basically it can then start doing things on a daily basis without you having to activate it the whole time. So that really is kind of the difference between an agent and just your typical AI chat window. So most videos that you come across on YouTube or wherever will go straight into how to set that up. And those are really good for understanding what those can do. But we're going to now look at how we can prepare for the moment that you start setting it up so that you're actually in charge of telling it what it needs to know about what it is that you want to achieve so that it can then advise you on the best ways to do that. Because otherwise you can just start having a chat with it and you can get led astray into, lots of shiny different things that it can do and not really reach any of your goals. So if we go across onto this left-hand side, I've called this contextual knowledge base, but I want this to be context about me and what I want it to do. So I'm going to tell it about me and about how my brain works because I want my AI assistant to help me make decisions. And the way I want to allow it to help me make decisions, I want to give it a good idea about how I think and also where I have challenges with decision making. As an ADHD coach, I've created the ADHD Canvas, which is a tool and how I can assess how I think and where my ADHD challenges are. Or if you don't have ADHD, everybody has executive functioning challenges. So you can use the same canvas to identify where those weaknesses are so that you can ask your AI assistant to help you with these things as well as it helping me in decision making and processing information and thinking things through. I also want it to help me remind me to do the things that will keep my body and mind healthy as well. So I want it to also be some sort of a fitness coach as well. So I'm going to be telling it about my fitness goals and how my brain works by feeding it in information that I have already mapped out on my ADHD canvas. Then I'm going to tell it about the businesses that I run. These can be separate businesses, or they might be different product websites or different projects that you might have on the go. And again, I have used the same method of mapping out how my business works as I did with the executive functions. And so I've created the business canvases that use the business model canvas, the value proposition canvas, also got ideal customer personas, journey maps, and I've also got some funnel maps on there as well. And I've mapped all of those out and I've created strategy documents with a ChatGPT, a custom ChatGPT. So I can explain to my AI assistant how all of these businesses work and what the marketing strategies are. So we're going to be walking into the first sessions with this AI client, AI assistant, and it's going to know how it needs to support me and how it needs to support my businesses. And so when I'm asking it how I am best to set up my OpenClaw, it's going to have a really good, solid understanding of what I'm going to need. And I'm going to allow it to organize that in the best way possible because it knows from the get-go how to assist me. And then I'm also going to explain what current client projects I've got on at the moment. And it will also then help me organize how we partition off client work to my work and things like that. Okay, so that is how I'm going to open the conversation with the OpenClaw and help me build my system. Okay. So now I move over to the tools that I use in my daily life and my businesses. And what I've done is I've listed out all the tools that I use, and it'd be really helpful if I can gain access to those tools via API keys so that I can then start getting my AI assistant to go in there and do specific tasks. And I've been thinking about each of these platforms, each of these tools, and what it is that I do in there, what I would like the AI assistant to be able to do for me. So this helps me now try and understand. I can go and look for and ask for how it will be able to build out these tasks for me. So hopefully I'll be able to find ways to connect with all of these tools, go high level, click up Google Workspace, Zoom, Descript, HeyGen, WordPress, YouTube. I'm not sure if it would connect with that, but it's something that I can have a go at. And also there's some other things that I don't know whether I will be able to give it access to or whether I want to just yet in terms of, for security reasons. One thing I forgot to mention is that where does OpenClaw live? Okay, so it's an open source agent, which means that you can install it anywhere. Like with WordPress as an open source content management system, it's similar to that in as much as you can host it anywhere. You can host it on your computer that you use day to day, or you can host it on a computer that is only there to run this. A lot of people have seen videos on people recommending purchasing a Mac Mini just for hosting their AI agent. I'm not in a position right now to be able to just buy a Mac Mini. So what I am going to be doing is I'm going to be using a hosting platform, set it up on a VPS or a shared cloud hosting. Probably better to be able to set it up on the VPS because that would be more private. But in the future, once I've actually built this out and it is creating value for me, saving me lots of time, generating value for my business and my clients, then I might begin to look at investing in setting it up on a private machine, a local machine, and so it will be more secure. The reason why I mentioned all that is because if it is on your computer, you can give it access to all the programs that are on there. And so if you do have software that doesn't have an API key or anything like that, if it's on your machine, then you can give it access to it. But that is if you are installing it onto the machine that you actually use. I don't know whether my machine currently is going to have the computing power to do that because it is old and it's already getting laggy with lots of these videos. So what else can I begin to plan before I go and set this up? Using the language of the AI assistant in the OpenClaw world, it will have skills, and that is basically repeatable tasks that it can do. Claude Code and Cowork, they use skills as well. So it's using that language and terminology. Coming from systems, processes, SOPs will be a good template for creating the skills that you get your AI assistant to build out for you. And those skills can be used to tell it to do repeatable tasks. So if you want it to do those things without you having to tell it, you can set up cron jobs so that it will do those automatically. But if you can guide it and tell it what you want it to do, you're going to have a better chance of it not doing what you want it to do. You can go to the Claw Hub, which is a place where people are generating skills that you can use. There is also, you want to make sure that you ask your AI assistant to check whether these are safe, because you don't want people putting malicious code in there so that they can access your AI assistant. And so one workaround for that might be to go and see what skills are possible on the Claw Hub. Go and get your assistant to look at it and then say, how would you build this out yourself? And then get your AI assistant to copy that skill. So that is a way in which you can be a little bit safer than just willy-nilly downloading lots of skills from an open source place. We can also create as we go, but also if you've got a library of SOPs that you're already using in your business, then you can feed those into it and get it to create skills based on that. And also another way to create SOPs is to use a tool called Scribe. And basically, if you switch on Scribe and it's got an extension that you can start recording, you can basically go and do the task yourself. And then that will create then a document with screenshots and everything like that, basically giving you a nice tidy SOP, a checklist for how you do that. I want it to access a knowledge base, but I'm going to deal with sort of separately. Basically, any knowledge or resources or information that I have built over time, resources, research, things like that, I want my AI assistant to have access to that as well. But there's a separate place for that in your OpenClaw setup. And so basically, there are various files in the setup of your AI system. One is its memory, and that's basically keeping a track of all the conversations that you have with it. So that helps it learn about you and the work that you want it to do. So I will ask it to keep a daily journal of all the work that it's done and all the chats that it has had with me. But also I'm going to ask it to keep a journal of my reflections. So I want it to ask me how I felt that the day went or how I feel that I performed. And I want it also to be able to understand where I am in my own personal goals. That is going to then store a memory of its performance and my performance, which will help it develop over time and get better at what it wants to do. Also, I want to create a knowledge base of things that I've created, my own intellectual property, so that it understands what my businesses do better. And also, I want to be able to refer to methodologies that I have learned over time that I want things done in that way. I want it to access a knowledge base of all the useful resources that I want to refer to. And so we're going to build that over time. But in essence, that is how we are going to go from understanding what our ADHD challenges are, our strategy for overcoming our ADHD challenges, and also whatever strategies that we've created for our business. This is how we're going to move from knowing what we need to do to actually doing them without ourselves becoming the bottleneck. Okay, and I'm going to create a series of videos that are going to run through how we can start building this AI assistant based on all the work that we've done before in building out our canvases and our plans. So I hope this will be useful. And if you want to join me for the ride, then subscribe and follow this series of videos.